is it. We've now worked the body, the hem, and both sleeves. And the last thing we're gonna work is do a front edge placket here. And I'm gonna be working some buttonholes here on the left side. You can either choose to attach buttons, or you can also choose to attach some snap buttons, which in this case, you wouldn't need to do any buttonholes. But this is the front edge placket we're gonna work in double knitting. So it looks the same on both sides, and it just provides a really nice structure. And here is really the finishing touch, which I'm always so excited about because it really changes the whole cardigan so much. So to do this, you're gonna need either a 3mm, so that's a US 2.5 circular needle, a pretty long one. I'm actually going to be using 2 ones because we're going to be picking up stitches from all the way around, so from both front edges and also back neck cast on stitches here. So I recommend maybe having 2 longer 3mm needles, or you can get creative and you can first just pick up half, and then you have to leave enough yarn so that you can then pick up the rest of the stitches when you get to it if you only have one of these circular needles. We're also going to be using a 3mm double pointed needle. You can also use the circular needle, but it's a little bit more finicky, so I recommend having a double pointed needle or an extra needle. Then if you're gonna do the buttonholes, I recommend having the buttonholes at hand, the ones that you're gonna use. And lastly, you want to have, for the buttonhole version, you want to have 3 removable stitch markers or something that you can mark where the buttonholes are gonna be. We're gonna start to pick up stitches here at the left bottom front edge. So it's the left when you're looking at the piece with the right side in front of you and the front facing you. So we're gonna start here. So grab your yarn and let's pick up some stitches. So we are working with the right side facing us. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna just pick up stitches. So I'm gonna just insert my needle, then I'm gonna leave a tail here, and then I'm just gonna wrap some new yarn around and bring that through. And we are going to be picking up 1 stitch for each row. So we're gonna have lots of stitches. And again, remember to pick up your stitches in the same row to get that really nice line. So in each row, picking up 1 stitch all the way around. I've picked up stitches for all of the first front, and I'm at the back cast on neck edge, and here I'm gonna be picking up stitches again from each stitch, but I'm gonna be picking up between the knit stitch columns. So here would be 1 knit stitch, so then I go in here, wait a minute, here, between that, and pick up stitches. Again, 1 stitch per stitch. Here sometimes what can happen is if you only take, for example, this 1 strand, sometimes you get this little, like the cast on bump is visible. So usually I like to go in at least 2 or 3 strands below. So I make sure that I don't get that little bump from the cast on edge visible. I'm running out of length from my first 3mm cable. So now I'm just gonna take my other one and continue with that one. So I'll have all my stitches on two 3mm circular needles instead. So here I just start with the same yarn and just with my second cable. Now I've picked up stitches all the way around and I've ended up here. So now I'm gonna go and cut this yarn, leave a tail long enough to then weave in. If you're gonna work the buttonhole version, before we join in new yarn and start working the double knitted front edge placket, we're gonna put some stitch markers to mark where the buttonholes are gonna be. So we have 3 buttons for this one. So they are gonna be approximately like this. And the first one you want to start, so looking at from the bottom, 4 stitches up. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, and the marker is placed where the bottom of the buttonhole will be. So I'm gonna place my first marker here, and I've actually gone ahead and placed a marker here. This I did before when I was working the front here. This marks where I've stopped the increases. So here is where I know that I want my top buttonhole to be. So these are gonna be approximately 11 centimeters apart. So that's approximately 4.25 inches apart. So I know that approximately here in the middle is where I'm gonna place my second buttonhole, and then here is gonna be my last one. And I can still go ahead and kind of measure it. So, oh, that one is a little bit too far up, so I need to move it a little bit down. You can also, of course, if you want to be very thorough, you can also count the stitches. But you need to have the marked where your buttonholes are gonna be before we start. If you're working the snap button version, you don't have to do this now, and you can do this later on. And next we are ready to start working our double knitted front edge placket. So we're gonna start from down here again. And the first thing is we're gonna join in new yarn, and we're gonna cast on new stitches, 9 new stitches with the Italian cast on method. Here I have my yarn. I'm gonna leave a bit of a tail because I need that when I'm gonna be casting on new stitches. And we're gonna be casting on these stitches from the wrong side. So now we have the right side facing up, and now I'm gonna just turn my work around so that I have the wrong side facing me. Grab your yarn. I have my tail facing in the direction away from me and my working yarn facing here in the direction towards me. And I'm just gonna grab this yarn, and first I'm just going to be placing the needle on top of it and just twist. And this first stitch is going to be a purl stitch here on the wrong side because it's gonna be a knit stitch on the right side. And next we're gonna be casting on, well, 8 more stitches, so 9 stitches altogether. They're gonna be a knit and a purl, knit and a purl, knit and a purl, knit and a purl. So we end on a purl stitch as well. So let me show you how to cast on a knit stitch using the Italian cast on method. For this, we're gonna go underneath both of these yarns, come up here in the middle, go over the top yarn, and bring it back. So that was a knit stitch. For the purl stitch, we're gonna go from above this time, go underneath both of the yarns all the way. Then we're gonna go from the top or from the bottom yarn in through the middle again and all the way back. So now we cast on 1 knit stitch, 1 purl stitch. So let's do that one more time. So for the knit stitch, you go in here under the bottom yarn, come in through the middle and grab that top yarn and all the way back. For the purl stitch, we go in from above underneath both yarns, come up and go this time again from above in the middle and bring it back. That was a purl stitch. 1 more knit stitch. So again, underneath, up in the middle, grab top yarn and return, and the purl stitch all the way under both yarns, up in the middle or in the middle here underneath, and return. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we need to do 2 more. 1 more knit stitch underneath, middle, over up the top yarn, and last stitch underneath both of these yarns, come up here in the middle, go over that bottom yarn and bring it here. And now to not lose this last stitch, I'm just going to be twisting. So here is my tail. So I'm just going to be twisting that 1 time underneath so that I get my working yarn in this hand, and I kind of hold it tightly now because now we're next gonna just turn our work around so that we can start working the front edge placket. So now I have the right side facing me, and I have these 9 stitches that I've just cast on, and I'm kind of holding on to my working yarn here. So now we are ready to begin. So now grab your 3mm double pointed needle and this first stitch, so make sure that you're working with the working yarn. This first stitch we are going to knit one. For this next stitch, we're gonna bring our working yarn front and we're just gonna slip this purlwise. So I'm just gonna go in with my needle here from the right to the left and just slip it. So I don't knit it, I just move it from one needle to the other with the working yarn in front. Then again, I knit this next stitch. Again, I bring my working yarn front and I just slip one stitch. Then I bring the working yarn back and knit the next stitch. For the next one, I bring the working yarn front and slip one. Then I go ahead and knit one, bring my working yarn front and slip one. And now I only have one stitch left. This last stitch I'm going to be knitting together with the first stitch of the picked up stitches here along the front edge through the back loops. So I knit these two together, but through the back loop. So I insert my needle here in the back loop of both of these stitches and knit them together, like so. That is the first row on the right side done. So now we're gonna turn the work. Now we're on the wrong side, so we're gonna work row 2 on the wrong side. And this one starts with, again, we're gonna slip the first stitch. We have the working yarn in front, just slip it without knitting it. Then the next one, we knit, bring the working yarn front and slip one, knit one, bring the working yarn front, slip that one, we knit one, bring the working yarn front, slip one, gonna knit one, and then this last one, we just slip with the working yarn in front. Gonna just turn the work around. So these are the 2 rows that you're gonna be repeating for all of the stitches. So always on the right side rows, you're gonna be knitting that last stitch together with one of the stitches from the picked up stitches here along the edge through the back loops, and on the wrong side, you just work all the stitches. And next I'm gonna show you how to work the buttonholes if you're working the buttonhole version. Here I worked my first buttonhole just so you have an idea of what's coming up. So the buttonhole is worked in 2 columns. First, this column is worked, then we're gonna cut the yarn here in the middle, and then the other side is worked. So now I am at my second buttonhole. I have my marker here to mark where the button of the buttonhole is gonna be. I've ended on a wrong side row, so I have my working yarn here. And first we're gonna work this right side of the buttonhole. So I'm gonna knit one, slip one with my working yarn in front, so exactly as we've been doing. Then I knit one and slip one with the working yarn in front. So I've now worked 4 stitches all together, and here now I turn the work. So I work those 4 and then I turn around my work. So now we're on the wrong side, and here I'm gonna knit one, bring my working yarn front and slip one, knit one, working yarn front and slip one. So those 2 rows I'm gonna be repeating 3 more times all in all. So I have 8 rows altogether. If you are using larger buttons, you might need to do 2 more extra rows, or if you're using smaller buttons, you might need to do only maybe 6 rows. So it's a good idea to have your button handy so you can check a little bit. We will have some yarns here then that we can sort of tighten the buttonhole a little bit with, but it's just good to be mindful. So now I'm just gonna be repeating these 2 steps 3 more times. Now I've worked the rows 8 times all in all. So now I'm gonna work 1 more time the right side row so that we end up with the working yarn here in the middle. So I repeat once more, just knit 1, slip one with the yarn in front until I get here in the middle. And now I'm just gonna cut my yarn with a tail long enough to weave in. Then I join in my yarn again, and now we're gonna work the left side of the buttonhole. So again, starting from the right side, and I start, and this time we have 5 stitches that we're working. So we're gonna knit one, with the working yarn in front, slip one, and we repeat that once more, knit one, working yarn in front, slip one, and then I come to my last stitch here, and that one I'm gonna be knitting together with 1 stitch from the picked up stitches through the back loop. Now I can go ahead also and remove this marker. Then I turn my work around, and then for the first one, slip that with the working yarn in front, and then I knit one, slip one with the working yarn in front, knit one, and slip one with working yarn in front. And those 2 rows I'm also going to be repeating 3 times, so I get 8 rows all in all, and always working that last stitch, knitting that together through the back loops with one from here. So I'm working 4 stitches, and I'm going to knit those 2 together. 2, 3, 4, and then I knit these 2 together. Now I'm back on the right side, so I worked 8 rows, and I want to have a wrong side row next, so I'm gonna work one more time my right side row. So I knit one, slip one with working yarn in front, knit one, slip one with yarn in front, and then knit the last 2 through the back loops together. And next we're gonna join both the columns on the same again, so we're gonna work on from the wrong side. So slip the first one with working yarn in front, knit one, slip one, knit one, slip one, and then we continue. So we grab those stitches that we worked first from the right side of the buttonhole, and then just knit one, slip one, knit one, and slip one. And that is it. Now the buttonhole is complete. You're gonna end up with these 2 strands of yarns, and these you can weave in here, sort of, you have this like column, so you can weave them in there pretty seamlessly, so you're not gonna be able to see them. And I'm just gonna check, let's see, yeah, it fits well. My recommendation is rather do the buttonhole just a little bit too tight than too loose, because in my experience, buttonholes tend to stretch out a little bit. But again, you can also use these strands here that we have to tighten it up a little bit so it doesn't flop out with wear. So that is it. You're gonna work the entire, all the way along in this double knitting. As you can see, it produces such a gorgeous and nice finishing. I have one more buttonhole and then all the way around, and then I'll meet you back here for the last stitches on how to bind those off. I've worked the entire double knitted front edge placket until I have 10 stitches left. So I have 9 of the stitches that I've cast on in the beginning, and then I have 1 stitch left from the picked up stitches. And I worked a wrong side row last, so I have now my yarn here. So I'm ready to work a right side row. So when I have 10 stitches left, I am going to cut the yarn and thread it onto a tapestry needle. All right, let's bind off these stitches using the Italian bind off method. So we always will have 1 knit and a purl stitch, or a purl and a knit stitch that we're gonna work. So I always think of these as in pairs. And first there's a little preparation step we need to do before we can get going. So first we're gonna insert the tapestry needle into the first stitch purlwise, meaning going from right to left, and pull the yarn through. All right, then we're ready to begin. So we're gonna bring the needle from the back through these 2 first stitches. I'm gonna insert it here and bring my needle and yarn to the front, so between the first 2 stitches. And now when we have a knit stitch, we're gonna go, so we have a knit stitch here first on the needle. We're gonna go in through these both stitches knitwise. So first I always start with the second stitch. So I go in through knitwise, pull the yarn through, and then I do the same with the first stitch. So knitwise, meaning I go from the left to the right and pull my yarn through. And that's it. We can now go ahead and slip this first stitch off the needle. So we bound off one stitch. Next we have a purl stitch here first and then a knit stitch. So for these, we're first again always going to work the second stitch. So this time I'm going to go in purlwise because we have a purl stitch here first. So this time I go from right to the left, first in the second stitch, pull my yarn through, and then I do the same with the first stitch. So again, from the right to the left and pull the yarn through, and then I can go ahead and slip that stitch. So we bound off now 2 stitches all in all. Next there is a knit stitch and a purl stitch. So then again, we're first gonna go from behind the work and bring the needle between these 2 stitches. So we get the working yarn here between them. And then I'm gonna go in knitwise, first through the second one, and then also through the first one, knitwise from left to right. And we've bound off 1 stitch again. And then purlwise through the second stitch because we have a purl stitch next, and then purlwise through the first stitch, and we can slip that stitch off. Then we have a knit stitch. So again, we're going to take our needle through between these first 2 stitches. I go in through the second stitch and the first stitch knitwise, and bound off 1 stitch, tighten it a little bit. Then we have a purl stitch, so we need to go in purlwise through the second and purlwise through the first, and again slip that stitch off and tighten a little bit. Then we have a knit stitch, insert it between the first 2 stitches from the back to the front, and go in knitwise from left to the right, first the second stitch and then the first stitch. Tighten and bound off. Then a knit stitch, a purl stitch first. So we go in purlwise through the second, purlwise through the first, and bind off that stitch. And now we only have 1 or 2 stitches left, but we're going to count these as 1 stitch. So I am going to these are both, this is a knit stitch and this is also a knit stitch. So I'm just going to bring my yarn here between these 2 stitches, and then I'm going to treat them both as 1 stitch. So I'm going to go in through them from the left to the right, like this. And I'm actually going to go in through that one also 1 more time. So the first stitch knitwise, and then I can go ahead and remove my needle and tighten that a little bit. And then I'm gonna secure this. I'm gonna, I think, do 1 more. So I kind of close this gap between the double knitted placket. So I insert my yarn there, maybe take it through a little bit so I don't get like a floppy back, but you can see that it's very seamless now. And then I can just weave in the end here on the wrong side. The last step before blocking the cardigan is attaching the buttons. I mean, you can also do it afterwards, but I'm so impatient, so I want to attach them already now. And I've gone ahead and attached my first to the top and the middle button, and make sure that they align with the buttonholes. When you're attaching the buttons, it's a good idea to have the cardigan on a flat surface so you can make sure that the buttons and the buttonholes will align nicely. And I mean, yeah, it would maybe make more sense to block it first and do this after, but as I said again, I'm so impatient. I want to see how it looks already now. So I only have my one left, so I'm gonna be placing it, I think here is gonna be good. I'm just using one strand of the merino that I worked the cardigan in. You can obviously choose a thinner yarn, the same color, or if you worked multiple yarns, you could just choose, for example, one strand. I'm attaching my buttons with just some crisscross stitches here. And one thing I want to do is, as a last step, I'm just bringing my yarn here between, and I'm gonna sort of wrap it around once. This will just elevate the button a little bit, so it becomes a little bit easier to then use it. And then I just bring my yarn to the back, and then I'm gonna weave in my end here in the side seam.